Good morning, everybody. Happy Memorial Day since I didn't get to see you guys yesterday. Hope everybody had a great weekend. I feel like I pretty much had a week off, which is amazing. I feel like after the 2-day weekend, have a weekend twice as long as that, you can come back completely jazzed up, ready to go, re-energized, and that's exactly what I am this morning. And I hope that's the same way for all of you guys. I'm going to go ahead and dive into what we have to go on today because you guys know that Monday is our deluxe pre-market prep day. So we're going over what's important for the week ahead as well as what our Monday specific news is. So I don't want to get behind doing that, but I hope that you guys, had a great weekend and that you're here. You're ready to execute here this week. Remember, on holiday shortened weeks, typically we have lower volume. So you want to make sure that you're not out here running and gunning and thinking that necessarily the broader market will make huge moves because we're likely not going to have a whole bunch of volume, right? These people aren't sitting in traffic, yesterday and today. Most often they're traveling. When we talk about, we're talking big money, institutional money on Wall Street. They're traveling, they wait an extra day, then they come back. So it's like that's what can contribute to these holiday shortened weeks, really not having a lot of volume because they're not rushing to get back. And because of this, you can get a lot of chop in markets. But let's go ahead and outline what we have for the week ahead. Treese, good morning. Alicia, good morning. My man Tage, good morning. Paul, good morning. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Let's check out what we got going on this week. And of course, make sure you throw your ones in the chat, signifying your intention to get 1% better by the end of this session. This session, of course, is brought to you by Kaizen, our upcoming 3-day live virtual event in June. Make sure that you're enrolled in that at I'mBetterDaily.com. We got some amazing things planned for that. As we talk about both stocks and AI in a blockbuster 3-day educational event. Now, our top news here today. Investors will be paying close attention to Friday's personal income and outlays data. The report will contain a reading on the Federal Reserve's favorite inflation gauge, the Core Personal Consumption Expenditures, or PCE price index. With interest rate cut uncertainty stalling Wall Street's rally this past week, the core PCE deflator has the potential to move markets. There will also be readings on inflation from European countries and Japan. So we're getting inflation reads from all over the world. The Fed cares more about PCE than CPI when making policy decisions, but CPI seems to be the one that affects the market more. The first quarter earnings season has largely winded down, but there will still be a few major names reporting this week. Chief among them will be discount retailer Costco, ticker COST, which last closed at a record high in Dow 30 component Salesforce. The cryptocurrency world will grab some of the spotlight when the high-profile CoinDesk Consensus event will get underway on Wednesday. The mega crypto event will include participation from independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy and ARK Invest's Cathie Wood. In terms of earnings this week, we got Kava on Tuesday, Bank of Nova Scotia, Salesforce on Wednesday. Probably the biggest name. Okta is also on Wednesday, Abercrombie and Fitch on Wednesday, C3.ai, whose ticker is AI, on Wednesday too. Thursday, Best Buy, Birkenstock, Foot Locker, Costco, Gap, Marvell, that's a big one. Dell, Marvell and Dell, actually, both of those big ones, in terms of recipients of this AI fervor. Dell has been absolutely crushing it. Something that we've been on for a while. Marvell, the little brother of AMD and NVIDIA, also doing great work. Let me go ahead and close Thinkorswim in the background. Got that old weekend window up, and you guys know how Thinkorswim is when it's up for a while. It just doesn't even open. In terms of data here, volatility watch, we got some option trading volume that's elevated on Barnes and Noble, ticker BNED, which I mentioned last week here on the live stream. Faraday Future Intelligent Electric, that's FFIE, another one of these meme stock movers. Events, are any of these events important? So there's a full slate of investor events in the week ahead. Despite the markets being closed on Monday, Pershing Square Capital Management will host an investor call. Amid speculation, Bill Ackman's firm is taking an activist stake in Starbucks. The 2-day TD Cowen Technology, Media, and Telecom Conference will include participation from AMD, Seagate Technology, and Clear Channel Outdoor. Any of these other ones actually worth going over? Not really. Not really at all. Okay, cash is in these three. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the week ahead. Let's check our economic calendar over at marketwatch.com. Now, Monday, of course, Memorial Day holiday. 10 a.m. today, we get consumer confidence data. Wednesday, we have, let's see here. New York Fed President John Williams speaks, not super important. Thursday, initial jobless claims at 8:30 a.m. GDP data on Thursday as well. Events, wholesale inventories, and retail inventories. That's all before the market opens. The biggest thing today is going to be consumer confidence at 10 a.m. That could be something that causes markets to move, some shorter term volatility. Or it could be used as a smokescreen to cover what big money was going to do anyways, right? We'll see what the consumer confidence data is, but we do have relevant data at 10 a.m., which you want to factor into, your trading plan for the day. Thursday, GDP data, 8:30 a.m., the first revision, and then a few other pre-market pieces of data, but mostly pre-market pieces of data. So by the time, open happens, we'll have already had that factored in. Friday, May 31st is when we get PCE. So that's the biggest piece of data on the week. That also leads me to believe that we might not get much movement this week, right? Whenever you have big data that comes out at the end of the week, typically the market will kind of wait around for that data. Also, we have a holiday shortened week, which typically is a lower volume week. So a few things about holiday shortened weeks. Typically, they end up green. Just historically, they don't have to. It doesn't have to be by a lot. They could chop all week, go up, down, up, down, up, down, and then finish at 1 cent green, and that's green on the week. So don't let that be like, oh, well, I'll just get calls for Friday and we'll end green on the week. Remember, right? Semantics. Remember what the bare minimum qualification of that is, and that is a possibility as well. Um, so yeah, it's looking like if I had to guess and I had to put money on it, we probably don't get a whole lot of movement going into Friday. Don't let that, kind of discourage you and say that, oh, well, there's just not any opportunity this week, because there are a number of individual stocks that are in great positions to move and to push and to crush it, regardless of what the broader market is doing. So don't look down and say, oh, I'll just take the rest of the week off. Just understand and manage your expectations when it comes to how you execute this week. Don't come into this week and be like, all right, time for me to buy 30 SPY contracts that expire this Friday. Probably not, right? Probably not. So you can still trade, of course, but just don't come in guns blazing short-term contracts and expect that to be a solid strategy for you when big money isn't here to move markets and we have big data on Friday. So we likely end up waiting until we get that data to make any type of move of substance. But now let's get into our Monday specific news. So our top headline for, Tuesday. Keep forgetting. So time to cut our top news. It is now nearly certain that the European Central Bank will lower interest rates before the Federal Reserve, bucking the trend of the U.S. Central Bank leading the way in terms of monetary policy. I like this because I feel like it kind of puts pressure on the U.S. ECB officials have pretty much confirmed that the first cut will happen at its meeting next week as inflation has moved closer to its 2% target. This contrasts with the Fed's official lack of confidence in easing anytime soon. Official comments: Olli Rehn, member of the ECB Governing Council and head of the Bank of Finland, said inflation was easing in a sustained way. Quote, "And this time is thus ripe in June to start cutting rates." I feel like we're talking now in like Bridgerton speak. Francois Villeroy de Francois Villeroy de Gallo, I believe that's how it's pronounced, France's central bank chief, said the first cut next month is a done deal, while ECB's chief economist Philip Lane said there's enough data to support to remove the top level of restriction. Fabio Panetta, the Bank of Italy's governor, said, quote, "A fairly general consensus has emerged on the possibility of a rate cut. Expectations: markets are betting on a 25 basis point rate cut from the ECB next week and none in July. Quote, "We expect the ECB to hold rates steady in July before delivering another 25 basis point rate cut in September," said Wells Fargo economist Nick Benebroke. Quote, persisting wage growth combined with strengthening recovery supports the case for the ECB to adopt a gradual approach to rate cuts. Quote, Eurozone core inflation has been coming down more quickly than similar measures in the US and the UK. Let's see here. Quote, if the euro were to weaken and drop through parity, that might give the ECB pause about cutting rates. The ECB is likely to cut rates further and faster than its peers. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Like they're in a spot where they got to make something shake. They've got to make something happen. You're getting kind of increased frustration all around the globe, just with from a number of different factors. Right, it's not only from inflation, but inflation is definitely contributing to it. You look at like Canada, for instance. Canada is kind of in dire straits. They've had in terms of like measurements and surveys, this has been registered as the worst quality of life in Canada in like the last 50 years. People are just hating it. So I feel like, if you want to bend and not break, a lot of moves have to be made, or at least some moves have to be made. And the ECB is starting it out. I think this is, new. It's different because typically we start things and then the world follows. And then, we set the precedent and the world follows us again. So they followed us on the way to, increasing rates and normally they follow us on the way out. But they're actually taking, the driver's seat here and dropping rates. So I think that's good because it puts pressure on us here in the U.S. Is it good for us long term? Don't know, right? Because if we drop rates too fast, inflation could shoot right back up and just prolong the issue. But I'd say generally right now, a lot of people are hurting with the increased rates. So just for the sake of any type of short term easing, that might be nice. Just because we've got credit card delinquency each and every week, we're setting new records for credit card delinquency, and people really just struggling trying to make something happen. So I'd like to see some type of relief. And of course, if you want long term relief, then what you need to do is make sure that you're bringing more value to the marketplace, right? Which is making sure that you have relevant skills in order to solve monetizable problems that will pay you and make sure that no matter how high interest rates are, you'll be fine. That's what the Kaizen event is all about. So if you're here and you're like, oh, I'm stuck, I don't know what to do, I don't know this, that, and the third, literally right right before this, I was just well, I feel like I can't talk too much about it, but there's so much if you get into AI and you really put your best foot forward, there are literally so many other jobs you could do on the side. So many. Like so many that were not possible beforehand. Like you could come in and completely revamp like you could do so much and change so much and revamp so much. Like what's a good thing that I don't have to worry about talking about because like it's not like I can't talk about some things that are getting worked on because I feel like well I agreed not to and I don't want the idea to get stolen. But like even when you look at like podcasts, right? Like it's so easy now to create content and do podcasts and messages and things like that. You can do it totally with AI, just replicating your own voice, and you don't actually need to buy a mic that's $500 and get editing software and all that. You could literally go and just go text to your voice and use that, and you could use that to create to narrate standard operating procedures. If you have certain guidelines or you do training, let's say you handle training for new people and you want to create this content, you say, hey company, actually you don't need to go and hire this digital creator because I know how to create video using AI, and I also can clone my own voice using audio and just have that narrated. So something that would have cost the company, a few grand normally to get produced, you're like, I can make this video for the free. And they're like, wow, I know we were planning to do cuts next quarter, but that person's not getting cut. That's what you want to do. That's how you want to set yourself up. So again, if you're not going to be in the room, if you're not already virtually have your seat reserved for the Kaizen event, June 19th to the 21st, you have to make sure that you're there because you there's a great graphic that I'm going to repost, but it says like, what you don't know, what you don't know, you don't know. And literally 80% of the pie of existence right now is you don't know what you don't know. Once you start learning what you don't know, you're like, holy crap, I actually can do XYZ. But now you're sitting here, you're like, I have nowhere to turn. I have no options. I don't know what to do. I don't know any ways to make money. I don't know about that. I didn't finish college. I didn't do that. How about you figure out what you don't know? Once you know what you don't know, you have a plan of attack. You said, oh, I can take, right, Memorial Day weekend, you had an extra long weekend. I can take this 3-day weekend, and now suddenly this tool I had no idea about that can completely transform overnight. I had a client who wanted to do. I can't say this. A client who wanted to wants a basically an AI receptionist, right? On average, you pay a receptionist $15 an hour, right? Whatever it is over the course of a year, you end up paying them like minimum 50 to 60K, right? Found out a way to create them an AI receptionist. It'll cost her under $500 a month. Did it last night, not even yesterday. Did it last night. Said, hey, check this out. Sent her the number. Hey, check this out. Call it. Knows everything about your company. Can even set up appointments and can send text and email reminders. If you can create something in an hour to 2 hours that replaces a salary someone has to pay an employee, you can charge a significant amount of money per month for that, right? A significant amount of money per month. That's the type of stuff that you want to learn. Where you could say, hey, yeah, you know what? If you want this is going to replace that employee. You had to pay them 60K. Don't worry, just pay me $2,000 a month. Pay me $1,000 a month, right? If they pay me $1,000 a month, that's 12 extra grand that I'm making for literally something that I barely have to do work for. Right? Once you learn how to do it, it's done. Barely have to do work for, and that's an extra 12 grand I'm making per year. And they only have to pay 12 grand as opposed to 60, which is a fifth of what it would normally cost them. So that is like the value that you want to bring to the world. And you can do that with AI super easily. Super, super, super easily. So just don't, whatever you think is going to happen in this event is going to be better. Whatever expectations you have, they're going to be exceeded. So just make sure that you're there for that. And I'm speaking to everyone that feels hopeless because I can just feel it. Like I can feel it internally. There's a lot of people that are just like, I have nowhere to turn. I have nothing to do. That's not true. You just don't know what you don't know. So come learn what you don't know. And then from there, you have a jumping off point, right? And you can go to somebody and say, hey, you want to be my first person? I'll do this for you for bare minimum, right? A few $100. Just let me get a testimonial under my belt. And then we'll roll from there, right? Then you can take it to the next place and the next place and the next place. And you could focus on only specific, like really niche down, right? If you're a dental assistant, hey, I can actually replace our receptionist. No one likes her anyways. I can replace her. Give me like, you know, you pay me this much per month, this much upfront in the setup fee, this much per month, and I already made it actually. So here it is. You can see it work. Like at that point, you transcend whatever job title you have, and you make yourself invaluable. You make yourself invaluable. That is what you got to do now. And there's no other time in history where you've had something like this to do it. None other time. That's what makes it so exciting. No other time has someone in the past been able to say, I understand that I am this, but now I actually have the ability to do 30 other jobs with no code. I don't have to know how to code at all. Like I could go on about this forever, but it gets me so hyped up because it's like at this point, and I'm a guy that loves to be able to do different things. You can really do anything. You can literally do anything. Create podcasts from scratch, create this, create that. You can create so many different things, and it's like it takes an afternoon. In terms of AI news, $24 billion valuation. Elon Musk's startup XAI has raised $6 billion in a Series B funding round, pushing the artificial intelligence startup's valuation to $24 billion. Before this financing round, XAI's valuation had been $18 billion. Quote, there will be more to announce in the coming weeks, said Musk. The fresh funds will be used to bring XAI's first products to market and develop advanced infrastructure. Investors included Andreessen Horowitz, Sequoia Capital, Fidelity Management, and Saudi Arabian Prince Al Walid bin Talal. The investment comes as the AI firm looks to challenge OpenAI's dominance with the launch of its chatbot Growth last year to rival ChatGPT. OpenAI is currently valued at around $80 billion. So, I mean, Musk definitely shouldn't be counted out of this. They've been working on full self driving forever. Full self driving takes a incredibly advanced AI to do, and also they have access to Twitter, which is prime when it comes to training AI models. Right? You've got Reddit that's making deals to license this content. Whenever you have millions of people in a platform and you want to observe how humans work, yeah, Twitter is also flooded with bots, but you've got a gold mine, right, when you're sitting on that data. So you've not only got tons of driving data so that you can understand how humans behave on the road, right, and how they behave in terms of decision making and stuff like that, but also how they behave within the confines of the four walls of their phone. Like how do you behave out there in the digital world? So they are sitting on a ton of raw material right? They've got all of the things necessary to put it together, and that's what all this, Andreessen Horowitz, A16Z, right? That's what all these investment firms see. In terms of Energy Watch, M&A Watch, Hess, ticker HES, shareholders will decide today on its planned $53 billion sale to Chevron, widely expected to be a close vote as investors remain concerned over the ongoing dispute with ExxonMobil for Guyana's Stabroek Block. While proxy advisor Glass Lewis has recommended the shareholders vote for the deal, Institutional Shareholder Services has told investors to abstain from the vote till more details of the arbitration emerge. At least 3 shareholders are expected to abstain, but Hess advisors appear confident of securing enough shareholder support. Investing group leader Daniel Jones sees an attractive risk to reward opportunity amid the merger drama. Now, tech news, chip fund. As countries increasingly set aside funds to support domestic chip making amid fierce competition, China has set up a chip investment fund of around $48 billion in the third round of the government-backed financing pool. China's central government and several state-owned banks and enterprises have invested in the fund. The investment push comes amid U.S. curbs aimed at restricting China's access to advanced chips and equipment, including those used in artificial intelligence work. Other countries that have stepped up efforts to boost domestic chip manufacturing to stay ahead in the AI race include the US, Japan, and South Korea. So yeah, I mean, countries continue to set aside money to, buy chips and fund the creation of chips to stay neck and neck in this AI race. Like this is something where it's essentially defense spending. Like that's kind of what has to get allocated toward this. It's got to be that big of a budget. And that's what they're inflating to. So it's nowhere near it now. Defense is still huge, but we're gonna have to even that out. In terms of today's markets, mixed. Japan down 0.1%, Hong Kong flat, China down 0.5, India down 0.3. The FTSE in London down 0.3, Paris down 0.6, Frankfurt up 0.1. The Dow down 0.1, S&P up 0.1, Nasdaq up 0.2, crude up 1.5%, gold up 0.5%, Bitcoin flat. Today's economic calendar. Mester speaking at 12:55. We do have Kashkari speaking at 9:55 a.m. That guy's annoying, right? He could get on here and say some crazy stuff that moves markets. He's not guaranteed to. He really only does it once in a while, and he already got that time in a few months ago. But it's something to be aware of. So 9:55 a.m. Kashkari speaks. He gets on 10 a.m. consumer confidence data. Within this first half hour of the market being open, we've got some important things that are happening, right? So make sure that you factor that in and that you have an idea of that, and you don't forget about it once we're at 9:45, and then you start diving into a bunch of things, and then we get some craziness at 9:55, 10, 10:15. You're like, what the heck is happening? Oh yeah, it's what we were talking about during the pre-market prep session. Now, speaking of what else is happening, we'll round it out here with our rapid fire bullet point stock news rundown. EU elections. Meta adds features to misinformation tracker. Member of the Fed Mester, Federal Reserve should use more words, connect the dots. Apple iPhone shipments in China soar amid discounts. Like that's what's funny is everybody in the US always says if we band together and we don't buy this thing, they've got to bring the price down. But no one does it. Everybody wants to be cool. Everybody wants to have the newest thing. So we could never do that. Have you ever heard of Apple having discounts on anything? On absolutely anything? No, never. Even during Christmas time, right? Oh, we got this discount. No, they just hike the price. All they do is hike the price, or they up some service charge, or some taxes, or some installation fee, or some setup fee, and it ends up being the same price. But Apple actually had to institute discounts in China because they're struggling versus Huawei. AWS, ticker Amazon, in talks to invest billions to expand Italy data centers. I did not know Italy was a big data center spot. I wonder if it has. I wonder if it has anything to do with like rising sea levels and whatnot in Italy. Like it would be kind of nice if you had like I don't know. I don't know. My brain is going crazy right now, but I feel like it's not something to bring up at this point. But I'll do some research on it. I wonder why Italy. I just wonder why Italy. We'll see. Bill Gross, Trump win would be more bearish for bond markets. BHP, Rio Tinto to test electrical haul trucks in Australia. Evergrande liquidators eye EV stake sale. Evergrande is that big Chinese real estate company that went belly up and destroy their market. Barrick, Papua New Guinea mine operational after landslide. Morgan Stanley, AI PCs to comprise 65% of market by 2028. I agree. Mine's an AI PC. I told you guys on here, I was like, look, I'm getting a new laptop, and it's got to be one that has AI built into the hardware and the software. I want that ASAP, and I use it all the time. I use that Copilot like that. She's sitting right there in the corner of my screen right now. T+1 is wrong-headed. Market safety is an attitude, not a cost. That's all that like T+1 clearing stuff. Don't really care too much about that personally. But guys, that'll wrap us up, right? For another day of eat, sleep, Kaizen, repeat. That's where we're at. 1% better. Not off the holiday weekend and not slowing down anytime soon. So I use this weekend to do some great stuff, some fun stuff, some learning stuff, but also some family and some relaxation stuff. And that made me feel like I really earned it. Also got a few miles in there, right? Got a few 5Ks in there. Can't feel bad about it at all. Let's make sure that we make it a great week. We earn this week. We get 1% better, and we continue to crush it. Right. I'll see all you guys back here tomorrow morning for our next pre-market prep session. Have a good one.